Hello. Well, I will say happy Friday because it's actually a glorious day. Beautiful day. I'm taking advantage of the fact that I've got the towels in the washer. My son actually did his washing, but as he's gone away till Sunday, gone to join my daughter-in-law up in Scotland. Hey ho, just me and the critters. He's put his washing over there on the dryer because he didn't want to trust it being outside on the line. I would have brought it in. You know, panic over, but anyway, today I'm channeling my mother. I feel like I should have my hair in one of those rolls, you know, except I can't do my own hair. And in fact, I've hardly got any hair, but that's by the by. I feel like I'm channeling my sort of 1930s, 1940s housewife look. The dress, of course, is fairly new. It was from Shein, whatever you want to call it. The material's really rubbish. Always is. It's like that synthetic-y stuff. But I shall give you a little twirl before I start. Sorry if the noise gets on your nerves, but here we are, standing next to a mannequin. It's just a very plain dress with the elasticated bit that I suppose is supposed to be around the waist, but I am very long-waisted, so it always hits me just under the bust. So it's a long dress. It's got the sort of hint of the 30s, 40s sleeves, hasn't it? Yes. If I was wearing a cardigan, which I'm not, I would probably wear this, which again has got the deep ribbing and is sort of 1940s, 50s look, really, yeah. You know, I mean, you always ask me about my patterns, and I always say they're vintage. You can find them quite easily, most of them, if you go and look on Etsy, or if you go and look on eBay. But I will say to you that if you pick a proper vintage pattern, oh, I've got something on my teeth. Not one that looks vintage. If you pick an actual vintage pattern, they are normally quite small sizes. And they are done in quite fine yarn, usually. You have to do a lot of adaptations. So, you know, but you can find them. You know, if you look hard enough, if you Google, like vintage ladies crochet patterns or vintage ladies knitting patterns, you will find all sorts of things, yeah. And if you go on, I think even on Ravelry sometimes they have them, but definitely on Etsy. And on Etsy there's a drop down, you know, if you put in ladies crochet sweaters, blah blah pattern, there's a drop down bit, and it says relevancy, or it says lowest prices. And you will normally find that the vintage patterns, because you're only getting PDF copies, aren't you, that you have to print out yourself, are usually in the lower price range. So I usually alter that to lower prices first, and then you get the older ones coming. The only gripe, well, I have with Etsy, of course, is when I'm selling me things, which I don't use it for at all, but my only gripe with Etsy, or even other things, is when you put in crochet patterns, they give you knitted ones. Or if you put in knitted patterns, they give you crocheted ones or something. Something's on my teeth here. Probably my teeth falling apart. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know what it was. Probably my teeth falling apart. I need to go back to the dentist because she made a rubbish job of my teeth. So we won't go into that. Anyway, I was watching a video by a lady I've not seen before. She was actually an African lady. And it was one of those where she was getting very upset about some comment that somebody had made. And she was apparently showing some top or other that she didn't actually say that she'd designed it, she just said that she'd crocheted it, yeah. And she got this very nasty comment underneath thing. How dare you say that it's your pattern, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's obviously a copy of such a body, you know, one of these sweet young things. And she got really upset because she said, in actual fact, although I'd only worn it that day, I'd actually made it about 3 years ago, you know. And I was that because my mum used to say to me, I used to show her something and say, oh mum, look at this latest fashion. And she used to say, old times with vinegar on it. She said, your grandma had something very similar. And it's true, you know. It sounds as though I am griping when I say some of these sweet young crochet designers in inverted commas really get on my nerves. You know, they'll say, oh, look at this, I've made this, I've invented this, I've designed this, and I'm like, no, you haven't. When you're as old as me, you've seen it before. I mean, the latest thing is these sweet young things at the moment, you know, the ones with 1 million followers, are making something that looks rather like this. Oh, they've invented it, they've made it, they've designed it. This is from the Double Stitch Twins, and I wrote on the bottom when it was printed, when it was designed, 2012. So sorry, sweet little young things, you didn't design it. The Double Stitch Twins, who were Monica, I think, and I can't remember the other one's name, they designed it in 2012. I've actually got this pattern out. It reminded me when I saw this sweet young things with these designer tops, which they no doubt sell for millions, you know, well, loads of money. Yeah. So I have actually got a ball and a bit left off what I've just finished. So I'm going to make one. I'm probably going to do it as I made it before. I've made it before, probably in 2012. But I actually made it a longer sort of body on it, made it a little bit, and I used to wear it over my long sleeve dresses, you know, the winter ones I always wear. I used to wear it over that, yeah. So I've got my hook ready. Anyway, I have actually finished. Woo. Where does it go? Which one do I make the noise from? Make the noise from the camera, make the noise from the sweater? Probably make the noise from the camera. There it is. I finished it. Done it. Of course it will be going away now because it's winter. Well, it's not winter now, I mean it'll be winter when I'm wearing it. Once again, my pattern. But I am going to just draw a little diagram and maybe just make a little doll-sized cardigan, doll-sized sweater, showing you how I actually do it. It really isn't as hard as what you think. A lot of people are like, oh, I've never made a cardigan, I've never made a sweater, I'll stick to my blankets and my washcloths. Well actually, you know, if you take a leap of faith, have a bit of faith in yourself. I mean, I won't go into it now, but I will do a little sort of, it won't be a tutorial. No way will it be a tutorial. Oh, there she goes. It's like living with a diva, isn't it? It'll be somebody and nobody will pass the house. She needs a silencer fitting. Oh, there is nobody anywhere near the door. She won't stop. My son says she's got 2 reps. What are you going on about, Rosie? You're a good girl. Now stop it. Everybody in the world has heard you. Yes. Yes, thank you very much for letting me know, but there was nobody there. The lady across the road is having a kitchen fitted. And of course the workmen are backwards and forwards to the van, backwards and forwards to the van. And I tell you, I would love to go and see this kitchen, because the workmen have been here, I think, at least 2 weeks. So it must be, the most super duper duper kitchen in the world. I wish I knew her well enough to say, can I have a look at your kitchen, please, Mrs. You know, because it's intriguing me, all these boxes going in and out. Our kitchen was done in about a week, I think. Admittedly, my son had stripped it all out, and we had it replastered before they actually came to fit the kitchen. So we actually had a kitchen in the lounge. Well, a microwave We lived off takeaways. I would microwave meals for a week, but that's another story, isn't it? But we actually had the kitchen set up in, you know, the kettle and everything in the lounge. And we were washing up in the bathroom sink. Talking about the bathroom, I told you before I had the bathroom door moved from going inwards to going outwards because it's such a tiny, well, it's not a bathroom really, it's a shower room. It's got the shower, it's got the hand basin, it's got the toilet, yeah. But when anybody opened the door, you practically, if you'd have been sitting on the toilet, you would have got your knees banged, you know. It's that small. So I had the door turned around, you know. Anyway, I walked up to it yesterday, opened the door and handle in my hand, door still closed. So when my son came home from work, I told him, he goes, "You're too heavy-handed." I thought, I'm only opening a door. It doesn't go like that. It just opens because it's on a ball catch. All I can think of was the bathroom window was open. Because I always open the bathroom window when I'm in. Yeah. Obviously, you know, I could put the fan on, but that's using electric, isn't it? We're back to the old economy bit. So I opened the bathroom window. And I think there must have been like a suction or whatever, like a... It happens with my bedroom door as well, if I've got the door to the conservatory open. You know, when I come to open the bedroom door, but the bedroom door doesn't open in, but it goes... because it's like a vacuum of some description, yeah. So anyway, yeah. Well, that's all I hope you got the answer, not the answer. The end of the story about my son's wedding was the fact that they met up with a policeman because they were riding with no helmets. They were like a convoy, whatever you want to call it. The bride was on the tricycle at the front. She should have been in the limousine, but as I mentioned before, it didn't turn up. Never got their deposit back by then. Anyway, she was riding them on this trike at the back, you know. Poor girl, hair, because she wasn't wearing a helmet. She spent a fortune having her hair done. It was all of a mess, you know. Practically her bouquet was like blowing in the wind, but she went on the back of this tricycle. So she had outriders. She had my son, you know, there, riding a bike in his kilt, which was a good sight to behold. You know, the kilt was blowing in the wind. I think he had it wedged between his knees in the end. Anyway, he had the outriders. So he got stopped by the police, didn't he? You know, like, what's going on kind of thing, you know, like 20 bike riders, no helmets, what the heck's going on? It's illegal to not have a helmet in the UK. And anyway, he was very nice about it, and he said, "Oh, what is it?" And they said, "It's a wedding, we're just riding like, you know, in convoy, taking the bride to the wedding venue." "Oh, no problem," he said. Lovely policeman. He rode ahead. So they had a motorbike escort going in. Anyway, somebody must have taken a photograph of all of this, and it finished up on the front page of our local newspaper, and it was entitled "Bride and Vroom." Not bride and groom, bride and vroom. So it was quite exciting, yeah. A lot more interesting than my wedding was, yeah. The only thing I would say about my wedding was I had no say in it, you know. I did choose the dress, but it was only that'll do. I wasn't a bridezilla in the slightest, no. I went with my mum to choose a wedding dress, and we went in two places. The first one, they were all meringues, and I thought, no, not me in a meringue, no. So we went to Kendall Mills, which if you're a Lancashire person, you will know. It's quite a nice store in Manchester, or it was, it's not there anymore. Well, the building's still there, but Kendall Mills is not there anymore. So we went up to the bridal department, and she's showing me all these meringues, and I'm going, no, I just want something plain. And my mum's going, are you sure? I said, yeah, I don't want anything like that. Anyway, I picked a lovely dress. It was in like white crepe, and it had pure lace long sleeves, and it was an empire line with, I think it had pure underneath the bust. I'm not too sure about that. But anyway, it fell straight, and I had this plain, sort of longish train with guipure around the end, with a little loop so that you could put it on your finger, so when you were walking it wasn't tripping on the floor. I mean, obviously when I was in church I let it flow behind me, you know. But we're on our way to church, and we couldn't get the wedding cards because my wedding was arranged in a hurry, yeah, due to my son's imminent arrival a few months later. And we couldn't get wedding cards. So the funeral cards across the road from where we used to live said, we can trim up the funeral cards, we can put ribbons on them, and we can put, you know, flowers on the back of the, you know, back window. That'll have to do, said my dad. It'll have to do. We can't go tripsing about everywhere looking for wedding cards. So my thoughts of a lovely white car out the window. So I arrived, not quite in the hearse, but you know, in the, the relative's car from behind. I arrived in that. So we're driving along, and my dad must have been looking at my face, and he said to me, you don't want to do this, do you? And I went, no. And he said, well, shall we just go to Blackpool instead? Shall we just go out for the day instead? I went, yeah, dressed in my bridal outfit. I said, anyway, my mother will kill me. I said, everybody's in the church waiting. I said, my mother will kill me if I don't turn up. So anyway, we had this discussion, and I said, why didn't you say this like a couple of months ago when I told you I was expecting? Why didn't you say you don't need to get married? Why didn't you tell me then? My dad said, well, it was nothing to do with me. It was your mother. She arranged everything. Yeah, okay. You know, the family cannot be let down. Bear in mind that half of the family had to get married anyway, yeah. Anyway, we gets to church. Had the usual photos took outside. I will show you one day, but they're black and white photos, nothing thrilling. And we gets to the door of the church, and the vicar's standing there. So I thought, oh, that's nice of him to come out and greet me. There's been a bit of a problem, he said. And inside, my little heart was going, oh, the groom's not turned up. You know, I was like, yay! I've got a legitimate reason not to go in, he's not turned up. Or he had been out on his stag night the night before, which I was really cross about. You know, you don't go drinking. He's not a drinker, my ex. He's not a drinker by any means. And he cannot hold his drink, yeah. So I thought, oh no, he's gone out the night before, he's ill. I thought he's throwing up in the churchyard, showing me up somewhere, you know. Anyway, he said, no, he said, the groom's here, I've seen him, I've spoken to him, he's here. I'm like, bang goes that. So I said, well, what's the problem then? He said, we can't find the organist, hasn't turned up. And it was the days before mobile phones, of course, so they'd rang his mum. And his mum had said, oh, he's obviously mixed up the dates because he's gone fishing and I don't know where he's gone. So, no organist. So the vicar said, what do you want to do? So my dad said, well, she's hardly likely to say she's coming back next week, is she? He said, get on with it, let's get on with it. So, we clomped down the aisle, my dad in his leather shoes, clompety, clompety, clomp. Me trying not to sound like Nelly the Elephant, walking down the aisle. And the vicar is trying to rally people up to sing, you know, a hymn. Now the daft part about it was, my friend was in the audience, or whatever you call it, a congregation, was an organist for another church. She said if the music had been there, you know, like in the piano stool or whatever, the organ stool, she could have played if he'd have said the organist hadn't turned up. She said she thought it was funny that it was silent, because usually there's a bit of tinkling in the background when you're waiting, you know, for the bride to arrive. She said, and in any case, she said, I think I could have like stumbled my way through the wedding march, you know, without music if there wasn't any music. She said, why didn't he say? Anyway, you know, we clumped down the aisle and we did all the usual things like that. So we had no hymns, because the vicar was trying his best to sort of, you know, let's all sing, you know, without the, you know. And everybody who was there probably didn't know, either didn't know, well, they had the hymn books, knew the words, but didn't know the tunes, yeah. So my wedding was a day to remember. Oh, and also one thing I forgot to say was it was a very, very hot day. So when my flowers arrived, they were half dead. They were really half dead anyway. I was like turning them round, you know. And then when we got to the reception, they said, no drinks in the main hall. You can only drink in the bar. The bar was about the size of a cupboard. So of course the men were not happy at all. And the women were even less happy because all the men were in the bar. Yeah. My dad had arranged some sort of music and that. But before that we had the meal. The meal itself was lovely. My dad had done us proud with the meal. Till we got to the wedding cake. They dropped it. Wasn't badly damaged, but it was the side that should have faced everybody else. You know, with the bride and groom like facing everybody. You know, the little bride and groom on top facing everybody. No, that was the side that was dented. We had to have that side facing us. So we have got some photographs of us. And when we were cutting the cake, they did sort of turn it around, but I think they placed some wine glasses or something in front of the dinted bit, so that we wouldn't have our wedding photographs cutting the cake with the bride and groom facing us instead of facing everybody else. Oh, it was fun. It was fun. As I say, my auntie was there, and she was a character. She was a very matronly lady, you know, let's just say. And her husband was very slick. My dad's brother was very slick. So she wanted to dance. So she went and raked him right out of the bar. And just as they went to start to do the dance, the band went into the hokey cokey, if you know what it is. Oh, hokey cokey cokey, oh, hokey, you're in a big ring. And then you put your right arm in, your right arm out, your right arm in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey cokey and you turn her around. She was not amused. She did not want to go, oh, hokey cokey cokey, oh, hokey cokey cokey. So I don't think he lived that down for a very, very long time, actually. But I've got another funny story about the same uncle. The same uncle looked very much like my dad, yeah. So we went to his daughter's wedding, and my dad walked in, and this man ran up to him and he said, I want £10 from you for the bar, we're running out for the bar. So my dad thought, that's a bit weird this. Pulls his wallet out, gets a tenner, gives it to the man. Off the man goes. Then he comes back again, about an hour later. Sorry, we're running out again. Have you got another tenner for the bar? So my dad says, it's the weirdest wedding I've been to. Puts his hand in his pocket, gets his wallet out, gives him this tenner, and off he goes. And then after about another half an hour, my uncle came up and said, has somebody just been and asked you, like, for 2 tenners for the bar? My dad said, yeah, I thought it was a bit weird. He said, he thought you were me. He said it was me that he was asking for the 2 tenners for behind the bar. So my uncle then gave me dad £20 back again. My dad said, I thought it was a bit weird. I thought it was the rubbish wedding I've ever been to. Oh, we have some tales in our house, in our family about weddings. Because my mum and dad actually ran off to get married. I think I mentioned before. My dad's family was staunch Catholic. My dad wasn't, but you know, he was the one who used to disappear when he was supposed to go to church, and he used to get told off by his mum and dad because he'd go playing out, do anything. He never made it into church. They'd give him his money for the for the, what do you call it, collection. Off he'd go, spend it on toffees or something. He was always in trouble. So he was a very, very bad, Catholic boy. And he met my mum, and my mum was a Protestant. And my mum's family were like, oh, you can't marry a Catholic. Because back in the day, it was like, oh, one side and the other, and never the twain shall meet. It was like, across the divide, So they waited until somebody had gone on holiday, I forget who was the more militant of the parents. I would suspect it was my dad's mum and father that were the more militant of the lot. So they waited while they went on holiday. Got a special licence and got married in the church that I got married in, actually, St Matthew's in Chadderton, which is a C of E. And they got married and they only had the two witnesses, my dad's best friend and his girlfriend at the time, who later became his wife. So they just had the two people and the vicar. Anyway, the best man had a car, and he said, "Oh, this isn't right, John." He said, "I know you can't go on honeymoon." He said, "You haven't got the money. Shall we go out for the day?" So they all piled in his car and off they went. So my dad spent his honeymoon day with his best friend and his fiancée, we'll call her, girlfriend, later to become his wife. And they all went to, I think it was Grange over Sands, wherever that might be. And they spent the day. So they had something to eat or whatever they were, probably fish and chips or something while they were there. And they came back home and my mum's like, "What shall we have for tea?" And my dad said they were like, we call it coppering up, when you go in your pockets looking for any loose change, pennies, coppers, whatever. They were coppering up to go to buy some bread, some butter. I think it was some boiled ham that they had for the tea. And the following day they opened the shop. My dad had a little green fruit shop at the time. And they opened the shop. And they had to wait until they'd had some customers before Mum could go shopping for anything else for the rest of that day. That's how poor they were. But the top and bottom of it was, everybody's looking at my mum sideways like, "Oh, we had a special licence." It was 2 years before my brother was born. They had a long wait. But when my brother was born, my grandma on my dad's side, who'd never spoken to them since they got married, you know, never spoken to them, "You're out of the, you're out." My brother was the first male grandchild. She sent for my dad, "I want you to bring him." Oh, so my dad puts him in the pram, off he goes. My goodness me. From that day on, he was the apple of my grandma's eye. When I came along, I definitely was not the apple of my grandma's eye. I'm talking to my two nieces, well, one of them came before me and one after me. They said they were never the apple of grandma's eye either. I also had two older cousins who I thought were aunties because they were so much older than me. And there was my brother, when my brother was born. There was also a girl who was born called Pat. She was one of my other uncle's daughters. No, grandma, no. Colin, of course. Oh, blue-eyed boy. Don't know whether it's because he was a boy or what. And to the day she died, he was the favourite. He definitely was. The only one in her eyes. Needless to say, I was not. Yeah. Oh, stop it. One of these days I'm going to get a phone that blinking works. It drives me mad. It won't stop. It wants to keep going, doesn't it? As I say, when I used to walk into Grandma, she used to say, "Oh, it's you. Colin not with you." Story of my life. Anyway, bye for now.